It was a cold and silent night. High above the earth, a strange object moved through the sky fast, burning and broken. It wasn't a star, it wasn't a plane. It was a ship. And inside that ship was her. She was not human. Her skin was soft and silver blue. Her eyes, large and glowing, looked full of pain. Her name was Kalira, a scientist from a faraway planet called Varian. She was never meant to come to Earth, but something had gone wrong. Her ship had been attacked. She had no choice. Now she was crashing. The ship hit the Earth like a falling star. Boom, trees burned, animals ran, the ground shook. And then silence. Kalira opened her eyes. Smoke, fire, blood. She was alive, but her ship was not. She crawled out of the broken door. Her leg was bleeding, her mind dizzy. The forest around her was dark and cold. Strange sounds came from the trees. She had never felt fear before. But now she was afraid. She touched a small device on her wrist. It was broken. No signal. No help. No one knew she was here. She was stranded. For days, Kalira stayed hidden. She found an old cabin in the forest, abandoned and quiet. She drank from rivers, ate strange fruits, and watched the skies. But no rescue came. Each night she looked up at the stars. Will I ever go home? She thought. But home was gone. Her planet had been attacked. Her people maybe dead. It was not ready for her. One morning, Kalira woke up feeling strange. Her body felt heavy. Her skin was hot. She looked at herself in the mirror, an old, cracked piece of glass in the cabin. Her eyes were wider than before. Her skin glowed faintly. Her stomach was swollen. She stepped back, shocked. What is this? She whispered. Her hands trembled. As she touched her belly, it moved. Her heart raced. She was pregnant, but how? No one had touched her. She was alone. There was no one else on the ship. No human contact. Nothing. It was impossible. And yet, it was real. She was carrying a life inside her. Outside, the world kept moving. Birds sang. The sun rose. But inside that dark cabin, Kalira sat still, full of fear. She tried to remember everything every second since she crashed. Was it something in the air? Was Earth changing her body? Or was it something else? That night, she had a dream. In the dream, a voice spoke to her, not in words, but in thoughts. It said, "The child must be born. It is the key. It is the end. It is the beginning." She woke up sweating. Who was that voice? Was it in her mind or something real? She didn't know. Days passed. Her belly grew faster than normal. She felt movement inside, more than a normal baby, stronger, sharper sometimes. The lights in the cabin flickered when she touched her stomach. The radio turned on by itself. Her dreams became clearer. She saw strange places, stars dying, planets burning, and a shadow always watching. Then, one evening, she stepped outside and saw a human, a man. He was walking with a rifle, dressed in old clothes. His face was rough, but his eyes looked kind. He didn't see her, but she saw him. She ran back inside. Humans. They're near, she thought. She had to stay hidden. They wouldn't understand her. They might kill her or worse, take her child, but deep inside, a new feeling was rising. Not fear, a need to protect. Whatever was inside her, it was alive. And it was important. One night she sat by the fireplace, holding her belly. "I don't know what you are," she whispered to the child. "I don't know how you came, but I will protect you." Suddenly, the fire went out. The room turned cold. The wind outside screamed, and then the baby kicked, but not like a normal kick. This one pushed her back. A cup fell from the shelf. The door creaked open on its own. Kalira's eyes glowed bright blue. Something was changing. The child inside her had power. Power beyond anything she had ever seen. She looked out the window. The stars were gone. Clouds covered the sky. But in the distance, in the darkness, something else was watching, something not from Earth, and it was coming. Asterisk. The forest was quiet, but not empty. Kalira moved through the trees like a shadow. Her silver blue skin was now hidden under old human clothes she had found near a river. A long coat, torn jeans, and muddy boots. She wore a scarf to hide her glowing eyes. It had been weeks since her crash. Her body still hurt, but the pain inside her belly had grown stronger. The baby was growing too fast. It wasn't normal. Every day her stomach grew larger. She could feel it move, not just like a baby, but like something aware. It responded to her thoughts. It pulsed when she was afraid. It slept when she sang to it. Sometimes it even glowed. She didn't understand what it was, or how it was even possible. But she knew one thing. She could not let the humans find her. Not yet. One night, Kalira watched from the trees as a group of people camped near the forest edge. They were laughing around a fire, telling stories. Their faces were dirty, their clothes simple. They looked peaceful, but strange. She studied them, listened to their language. She couldn't understand much, but she could feel their emotions: fear, hope, hunger, love. Humans were loud creatures, but their hearts were clear. Still, she did not trust them. She stayed far away. Her hiding place was an old wooden cabin. Small, broken, but safe. It had no electricity, no water. Just a bed, a mirror, and silence. Kalira spent her days learning about Earth. She found a broken phone in a nearby trash bin. The screen flickered, but it worked just enough. She watched. Human videos, languages, cooking, weather, news. The world outside her forest was massive and full of noise, but one headline made her freeze. Unknown signal detected in the forest. Government investigating. Kalira's eyes widened. She knew what it meant. Her body, or the baby, was sending out signals. She smashed the phone. At night, she couldn't sleep. The baby was moving more stronger. Her skin sometimes glowed under the moonlight. The air in the cabin would change, warm then cold. Objects would shake when she cried. Sometimes she heard whispers not from outside, but from within. And every time she touched her belly, she felt something strange. The baby was not just alive. It was listening. One cold morning, Kalira walked down to a nearby lake to wash. The sun was rising. Mist floated over the water. Birds sang softly. She looked into the reflection and gasped. Her face had changed. Her eyes, once soft and calm, now glowed faint purple. Her cheekbones were sharper. Her skin shimmered faintly like starlight. She touched her face. Her breath trembled. I am changing. The baby wasn't just growing. It was changing her. Later that day, while gathering food near the road, she saw him again, the human man, the same one from before. He walked alone, carrying a small bag and a gun on his shoulder. He looked tired, maybe sad. His name, she had heard from a distant voice once, was Jack. Jack lived in a small house not far from her cabin. He hunted animals, chopped wood, and spoke to no one. Kalira kept her distance, but she watched him curious. One afternoon, she made a mistake. She tripped on a root, fell hard, and cried out. Jack heard her. He ran toward the sound. Kalira tried to run, but her leg gave out. She collapsed. And then she saw his boots stop in front of her. He stood, shocked, looking down at her silver blue skin and strange eyes. But he didn't scream. He didn't run. Instead, he knelt beside her. You're hurt, he said softly. She blinked. She didn't understand all his words, but she felt the warmth in his voice. He reached for her arm. She flinched. I'm not here to harm you, he whispered. I've seen enough monsters in my life. You're not one of them. Kalira stared at him. Then, slowly, she let him help. Jack took her to his home. It was small but warm. He cleaned her wounds and gave her food. She didn't speak, but she listened. Jack told her about his past. He was a soldier once. Lost his family in a war. Now he lived alone, far from the city. I know what it's like, he said, to feel alone, to lose everything. Kalira felt something move inside her emotion. She hadn't felt that in years. She touched her stomach. The baby kicked. Jack noticed. Are you pregnant? He asked. Kalira nodded slowly. His eyes widened. Do you need help? She looked away. Help? Even she didn't know what kind of help she needed. That night, Kalira sat near Jack's fireplace. The baby moved again, stronger than ever before. Suddenly, the lights flickered. The radio in the corner turned on by itself. A strange, whispering sound came through the speaker. Jack turned, confused. That's not from any station I know. Kalira stood up slowly, eyes glowing faintly. The baby's power was growing. And far away, something else had heard it. Jack had seen war. He had seen men scream, burn, and vanish in smoke. He had seen fear in every corner of the world. But nothing in his past had prepared him for this. For her, she sat on his couch, now quiet, glowing softly in the firelight. She didn't speak much. In fact, she rarely spoke at all. But Jack could feel something strange every time she was near. The air was different. His old radio acted strange. Lights blinked without reason. But most of all, it was her eyes. They weren't human. He didn't know where she came from. Maybe she was part of some strange experiment. Maybe the government did this to her. Or maybe, just maybe, she was not from Earth at all. Jack didn't ask. He had learned one thing in life. Sometimes silence tells the truth better than words. Every day, she got a little stronger. She would sit in his backyard, watching the birds fly overhead. Sometimes she hummed a soft tune, something he had never heard before. It wasn't English, but it made the trees sway like they were listening, and the baby inside her? It was growing fast, too fast. Her stomach looked like she was 8 months pregnant, but she had only been with Jack for a few weeks. Something was not right, and yet she didn't seem afraid. One evening, Jack made her some soup. She sat at the table, staring into the steam rising from the bowl. "I don't know what you are," he said quietly, "but you're not evil." She looked at him, then, for the first time, she spoke. Her voice was soft and strange, like music underwater. "My name is Kalira." Jack smiled. "That's a beautiful name." She nodded once, then she whispered something else, but he couldn't understand. "What does that mean?" he asked. She looked into his eyes and said, "The child is not just mine." Jack blinked. "What do you mean?" Kalira stood up. She walked to the window and placed her hand on her belly. "The child is half of this world." Jack felt a chill crawl up his spine. Later that night, Jack couldn't sleep. He sat by the fireplace thinking, half of this world? Did that mean the child was part human? But how? No man had been near her? Not since she arrived, unless it didn't need touch, unless something greater was at work. He walked to the window and looked at the forest. The wind was howling now. Trees moved like they were whispering to each other. The moon was high, but clouds were gathering. Something was coming. He could feel it. Suddenly, the power cut out. Darkness. Then a strange humming sound filled the air. Jack grabbed his flashlight and ran outside. The trees were glowing. Tiny particles floated in the air, shining like dust. Moving as if alive, Jack heard a high-pitched tone, not from Earth, not from anything human. He turned back to the house and froze. Kalira was standing in the doorway, but she was not alone. A figure stood behind her, made of light and shadow. Jack raised his gun. "Who's there?" Kalira raised her hand. "No danger," she said. "It is a memory." The figure slowly stepped forward and vanished like smoke in the wind. Kalira fell to her knees. Holding her belly, the baby kicked so hard the ground beneath her cracked. Jack ran to her side. "Are you okay?" Kalira looked at him, eyes glowing brighter than ever. "The child is awakening," she whispered. Jack helped her up and carried her inside. That night, Jack had a dream. In the dream, he was standing in space. The stars were close. He could touch them. Then he saw Earth, small, blue, spinning slowly. And in front of it, a giant shape. A ship. No, a whole fleet. He heard a voice, Kalira's voice. "They are coming. The child must live. If not, Earth will fall." He woke up gasping for air. Kalira was sitting at the edge of his bed. "You saw it," she said. Jack nodded. "Was it real?" "Yes," she said. "It is not just my child. It is your future." The next day, Jack took Kalira to a secret place, a bunker, hidden since the war. No one knew about it. He had built it for survival. But now it was for something greater. "You'll be safe here," he said. Kalira looked around. It was dark, cold, empty, but safe. She nodded. As Jack turned to leave, Kalira touched his hand. "I trust you," she said softly. Jack looked at her, and for the first time in years, he felt something new. Hope. Outside, the forest stood silent, but miles away, black cars rolled through the trees. Men in suits carried strange machines. They had picked up a signal. A new life was on Earth, and it was not human. Asterisk. The signal was never supposed to be found. It was soft, hidden in the forest air like a whisper inside a storm. A strange rhythm pulsing from a place no one could see. But machines don't sleep, and satellites never stop watching. One night, a signal technician in a secret U.S. facility noticed something strange. "Sir," he said, staring at the blinking screen, "this isn't normal." It wasn't a human signal. It wasn't from space either. It was coming from Earth, deep in the forest of Oregon. It had no origin code. It had no language, but it had a heartbeat. Within hours, black trucks rolled through back roads. No sirens. No logos, just men in black suits with cold eyes and quiet voices. They were from a hidden government division, people who worked in shadows. People who knew aliens were not science fiction. They called the signal Eco-Red. And Eco-Red had one strange trait. It was growing stronger. Jack didn't know the government was on its way. He was busy trying to keep Kalira safe. She now stayed inside the underground bunker, a place with steel walls, food, tools, and silence. Her body had changed again. Her skin shimmered like moonlight. Her hands sometimes sparked with blue light. She rarely slept now. Her eyes stayed open at night. Watching the dark, the baby inside her moved less, but each movement shook the walls. Literally, "It's almost time," she whispered one morning. Jack nodded. He didn't know how to prepare for this. It wasn't like any war. It wasn't a battle he could fight with a gun. This was something else. Something much bigger. 2 miles away, a drone flew over the trees. It sent real-time images to a black truck far down the mountain. "There," one agent said, zooming in. "Something's under that hill." They had found the bunker. The signal source was close. Orders were given. They would move in at dawn. Back in the bunker, Jack was listening to an old radio. Static filled the air. Then suddenly a strange sound broke through. BZZT, ZZZZ, echo detected. Signal pulsing. Then silence. Jack looked at Kalira. "They're coming, aren't they?" he asked. She nodded. "They feel the child. Now they fear it." Jack stood up and grabbed his rifle. "You should go deeper. I built a safe tunnel, if they find this place." Kalira shook her head. "I cannot run," she said. "If they take me, the child dies." "If the child dies, your world ends." Jack stared at her. "You're serious?" Kalira touched her belly. "This child is the balance," she said softly. "Not just power, it carries choice. If Earth keeps it, it will rise. If they take it, Earth stays broken forever." Jack had no words. Only one thought echoed in his mind. He had to protect her. At any cost. The sun hadn't risen yet when the first black trucks arrived. 5 men stepped out. No badges, no greetings. They wore helmets with red lights. Guns without names. One of them looked at a blinking screen and pointed, right beneath. "US," he said. They placed a strange machine on the ground. It hummed, glowed, and then began to drill. The earth shook slightly. Down below, Kalira felt it. "They're here," she said. Jack grabbed his rifle and opened a metal panel near the door. "Let them come," he said, but Kalira grabbed his arm. "No killing," she whispered. "If you kill, more will come." Jack gritted his teeth. "Then what do we do?" Kalira looked at her belly. "We show them why they should be afraid." Outside, the agents broke through a hatch. They moved quickly down steel stairs into a quiet hallway. They expected darkness. They expected resistance. What they saw was light, blue light glowing down the hall. They raised their guns and stepped forward. Kalira stood at the end, hands resting on her round belly. Her eyes glowed. Her body floated just above the floor. One agent took a step closer. "Target in sight," he said into his cums. Then the hallway pulsed. Like a heartbeat. The walls lit up. The ground shook. And every gun shut down. Dead. Cold. Useless. "Technology failure," one man shouted. "All weapons offline." Then Kalira spoke, but not with her mouth. In their minds. "You came to take what is not yours. This child is part of your world now. You must choose. Fear it, or follow it." The men fell to their knees, clutching their heads. Visions filled their minds of a future Earth with skies full of light. "Oh, burning in war." Then it stopped. Silence. Kalira stood still, behind her. Jack waited with his hand on a hidden switch. "If any of you move," he warned, "I'll bury this place with all of us." One agent slowly stood up, shaking. "She's not human," he whispered, "but she's not the enemy." The leader turned and gave a silent nod. They left. No words. No reports. Just fear and respect. That night, Kalira sat near the fire. Again. Jack looked at her. "What did they see?" he asked. Kalira whispered, "What comes next?" And she smiled for the first time. The child kicked gently. And above them, in the sky, something had started to move, something not from Earth. The wind outside had changed. It howled through the forest like a warning. The sky was darker than usual, heavy clouds spinning slowly above the hills. Jack stood outside the bunker, staring at the sky. Something was wrong. The air was thick. The animals had gone silent. Even the trees seemed frozen, and underground... She was screaming. Kalira was in pain. Jack rushed down the metal stairs. He had never heard her cry before. Not like this. She was stronger than any human he had ever known. But now she was lying on the floor, holding her stomach, shaking with every breath. "The child is coming," she said between gasps. Her skin flickered with light. Blue, silver, then gold. Her eyes were wide open, glowing like twin suns. Jack dropped to his knees beside her. "What do I do?" "Tell me." Kalira reached out and gripped his hand. It burned with energy, but he didn't pull away. "You don't stop it," she said. "Just stay close." Jack looked around. There were no tools. No doctors. No answers. Just him. And her. And something greater than both. Suddenly, the ground shook. Hard. A loud boom echoed through the bunker. The dust fell from the ceiling. Lights blinked. Somewhere far above, something had cracked the earth. Kalira cried out again. A wave of energy pulsed from her body, slamming into the walls. Screens shorted, lights burst. The entire bunker groaned under pressure. Jack was thrown against the wall, but he crawled back to her. "I'm here," he whispered. "I'm not leaving." Kalira looked at him, her face filled with pain. "And trust. You must see this," she said. "You must remember." Then her body rose, floating off the ground. Her arms opened wide. The child was ready. What happened next was not birth. It was awakening. Light exploded from Kalira's chest, so bright that Jack had to cover his eyes. The bunker lit up like a star had been born underground. Time slowed. Jack heard no crying. No sound at all. Only silence. Then he opened his eyes and saw him. The child stood in the center of the room, not crawling, not crying. Standing. His skin was pale gold. His eyes shimmered like oceans. Small, no older than a few hours. But he looked straight into Jack's eyes like he had lived 1,000 years. Jack's breath caught. Lyra was lying on the floor now, weak but alive. Her eyes locked on her child. "He is here," she whispered. "The first of his kind." Jack stepped closer. The child turned to him and smiled. Jack froze. "Do you know me?" he asked. The child tilted his head. Then a voice echoed in Jack's mind. "I remember you. From before I was born." Jack stumbled back. "What are you?" The child answered, not with words, but with images, feelings, thoughts. Flames. Stars. A world rising from dust. And Jack, standing at the center of it. Suddenly, the radio flickered back to life. A voice came through, panicked, broken. "To all nearby units, strange atmospheric activity, sky distortion, unknown craft entering." Jack looked up at the ceiling. "They're coming." Kalira nodded weakly. "They felt his birth. They are afraid of him." Jack looked at the boy. "But why? He's just a child." Kalira spoke softly. "He is more than a child. He is the connection between our worlds. He carries both our strengths," she paused, "and he chooses what comes next." Above the earth, the clouds spun in wide circles. Lightning cracked across the sky and from beyond the atmosphere. Ships began to appear, dark, silent, watching. They didn't attack, not yet. They were waiting to see what the child would do. Back in the bunker, The child raised his hand, not in anger, in understanding, the machines around him floated into the air, tools, wires, pieces of tech Jack didn't even know were there. They floated like dust, caught in a beam of sunlight. Jack's heart raced. Is this power? Kalira shook her head. No, this is only the beginning. Suddenly, the child touched the ground. Everything stopped. The lights turned off. The tremors ended. The forest outside went quiet. Even the sky paused then. From far above, a deep sound echoed like thunder. A message, but not from Earth, a hidden speaker cracked. A voice deep and strange spoke in broken English. We come for the child. Return him or be erased. Jack stood up. Like hell, he said. He's staying. The voice replied, you do not understand what he is. Jack looked at the child and smiled. No, but I think he does. The boy walked to Jack and took his hand. Jack felt a surge of light inside his chest. Not pain. Hope. The child looked up at him. And said, for the first time out loud, Earth will not fall. Outside, the ships moved closer, but now they were unsure. This was not the Earth they expected. This Earth had changed, and it had a protector, one who was just born. But already watching the stars, the child had only been alive for one day, and yet he was already changing the world. He stood barefoot in the bunker, his small hands glowing with a soft golden light. His eyes, deep and endless, stared at the sky through the thick steel roof as if it wasn't there. Jack sat nearby, still, trying to understand what he had witnessed. A birth without pain. A child born of stars and earth, a silent promise of something greater. Kalira was resting. Her strength was returning slowly, but her voice was quieter now, as if she had passed something important on, something that no longer belonged to her. Outside, the skies remained dark. Clouds circled above the hills like a warning, and far above them the alien ships still waited. They didn't land. They didn't fire. They simply watched. Waiting. That night the radio came alive again, but this time it wasn't a voice. It was a song. Soft, haunting notes. A melody not from Earth. Each sound touched the air like a memory. Jack turned the dial, but it didn't change. The song was not from any frequency, he knew. Kalira opened her eyes. They are calling to him. Jack looked at the boy. Is it a trap? No, she whispered. It is an invitation. The child walked to the center of the room and closed his eyes. Then he began to speak, not with his mouth, but with the machines. Old screens turned on. Wires danced. The radio crackled. A message appeared, written across every screen. We were wrong. He is not a weapon, he is a door. Jack stepped back. A door to what? Kalira sat up slowly. Her voice was heavy with fear and wonder. To the next stage. Suddenly, the bunker lights burst. Everything went black. Then dash on a wall. An image formed. Glowing lines shaped a star map. Points of light connected. Then zoomed in on a distant world. It wasn't Earth. It wasn't Kalira's home either. It was something else. The child pointed to it. Kalira's eyes widened. That's the origin world, she said. The place where it all began? Before war? Before silence? Jack asked. Then why are they here? Kalira turned to him. Because he remembers it. The image faded. Silence returned. But it didn't last. Every screen suddenly turned. Red. A single phrase appeared. Choose Earth or Ascent. Jack stared at the words. What does that mean? Kalira looked down. If the child leaves, Earth will be spared. But it will remain ordinary. No power. No future. Jack frowned. And if he stays? Kalira's face turned pale. They will attack. They fear change. They fear what he will unlock in humans. The child walked to Jack, small hand. Quiet eyes. He placed a glowing finger on Jack's forehead. In an instant, Jack saw everything. Visions, billions of lives. Planets of light, cities made of air. People like him, rising to the stars. A future where humans were no longer weak. No longer alone. Then dash destruction. Flames, warships, worlds turned to ash. A voice inside him spoke. If I stay, they will come. But if I stay, your kind will rise. Jack gasped and dropped to his knees. The boy looked at Kalira. She nodded slowly. "It is your choice now," she said. "You are not just mine. You belong to the stars, and to this world." Far above, one of the ships moved. For the first time it began to descend. Jack stood quickly. "We're out of time." The child remained calm. He walked to the door of the bunker. Jack followed. Together, they stepped out into the cold night. And the sky answered. The ship hovered silently above them, huge, black, covered in symbols that pulsed with light. A beam of red scanned the child. "No harm. Just testing." Then, from the ship's belly, a voice echoed across the forest. "We request the child. He is not safe on this planet." Jack stepped forward. "He's safer here than with you." The voice replied, "This world is unstable, divided, violent. You are not ready." Jack looked at the boy. "He makes us ready." Silence followed. Then the ship said, "You risk war." The child raised his hand. The clouds parted. Stars shined through, and then all across the earth, satellites lit up. Phones, radios, and computers everywhere received a single message: awaken. People saw it. Some laughed, some cried, some fell to their knees, but everyone felt it. Something had changed. Back at the bunker, Kalira walked outside. She stood beside Jack and her son. "Now they know," she said. Jack looked up the ship slowly. "Move back away from Earth. They would not attack. Not yet. Because now." Earth had answered back. The child looked at the stars, then at his mother. "Will they return?" he asked. Kalira placed a hand on his shoulder. "Yes, but next time we will not hide." Jack looked down at the child. "You've started something." "We can't stop, haven't you?" The boy smiled. "Not stop, just begin." And far, far beyond Earth, a council of old voices gathered. One spoke. "Humanity has stepped forward. The gate is open." Another answered, "Then the war will come, but not as expected." Back on Earth, Jack held a message device in his hand. It blinked once. A new symbol appeared, a countdown. Something was coming, and time was running out. The countdown had begun. Jack stared at the blinking device in his hand. Numbers flashed on the screen, slow but steady. One day, maybe less. Then something would arrive, something from the stars. The child stood beside him, calm as ever. Kalira watched from the doorway, her face tired, but proud. No one said it. But they all knew. This was the beginning of the end, or a new beginning, across the world. Strange things were happening. People everywhere reported dreams of fire, of ships, of stars calling to them. Machines broke down and repaired themselves. Some people woke up with thoughts they didn't understand. In languages they had never learned, the child's signal had spread across the planet. He was not speaking through words, he was waking up something inside humans, a power that had been waiting, sleeping, buried deep. Governments went silent, satellites shifted, old files were opened, plans were drawn. The world's leaders didn't know what the child was, but they knew one thing. Earth was no longer hidden. They had a choice: unite or be destroyed. At the edge of the atmosphere, a fleet approached, larger than anything Earth had ever seen. Not just ships, a moving world of war and knowledge. A species older than Earth itself. For centuries, they had shaped the rise and fall of planets. Now, they feared one child, one tiny voice that had sent a message across the stars. "We are not weak, we are waking up." In the forest, the bunker was no longer enough. Kalira and Jack moved with the child to an open field nearby. A hill stood behind them. Trees surrounded them. And in the center, the child drew a circle in the dirt with his finger. It glowed. A pattern appeared, lines, symbols, light. Jack asked, "What is that?" The child smiled. "A signal for the humans." At night, people began to arrive. They came quietly, drawn by dreams, visions, or instinct. Doctors, soldiers, farmers, hackers, artists, children, elders from different countries. Languages and lives. All of them felt it. Something was calling. Kalira looked around in awe. They came. Jack nodded. "We may not understand it, but they feel the truth." The child walked among them. With each touch, a spark passed. From him to them, a memory, a light, something ancient. And human. And then the sky opened, a massive ship descended slowly. Casting a shadow over the field, the air turned electric, wind roared, trees bent, people stepped back in fear, but the child stood tall. Kalira whispered, "They're here." Jack clenched his fist. No guns, no armies, just people. And one glowing child. A voice boomed from the ship. "Return the child. He does not belong to you." The child stepped forward. "No," he said, his voice calm. "You don't understand?" "I belong to them," the ship answered. "They are unstable. They fight each other, they poison their world, they are broken." Jack raised his voice. "That may be true," he said. "But we are still ourselves, we still choose. And now we choose to fight." The ship unleashed a wave of pressure so strong it knocked trees over. People fell to their knees, but the child remained still. His hands glowed brighter. He looked at Jack. "Are you ready?" Jack took a deep breath. "Born ready." The child closed his eyes. From the glowing circle in the ground, a pulse of light shot upward. It hit the ship, not with fire, not with bombs, but with memory. The invaders saw what Jack saw. What Kalira saw: human courage, human rage, human love. They saw children holding hands in war zones. They saw scientists saving lives with nothing but hope. They saw humans breaking and rising again. And again. The ship froze. Then began to back away. The voice returned. "Quieter. You are not what we thought." Jack stepped forward. "We never were." The ships above turned slowly, leaving Earth. Not in fear, but in respect. And for the first time, Earth wasn't seen as a broken world, but as a rising one. The people cheered. Some cried. Some fell to the ground, laughing, unable to explain what they felt. Jack looked up at the stars. "I think we just told the galaxy who we are." Kalira placed a hand on his shoulder. "No," she said. "He did." The child stood at the center of the field. The stars above seemed to shift around him. And then, without a sound, he smiled, the kind of smile that meant, "This is just the beginning." In the end, it wasn't weapons that saved Earth. Not power, not fear. It was something older. Something deeper. The will to rise. Earth didn't need saving. It just needed to wake up. And now, the galaxy will never sleep again.